Next up is Terry Pruett. He's the VP of Global Reader Products and Marketing with Alien Technology. Terry joined Alien in 2005 with the directive to start, grow, and maintain a hardware reseller channel in the Americas, eventually assuming responsibility for marketing and Alien reader sales globally. At Alien, he conceived and built the first comprehensive reseller channel organization in the passive RFID industry, one that has consistently achieved market share leadership in fixed readers and that contains many of the finest systems integrators, software companies, and value-added resellers in auto ID. Terry has a BA in speech communication and rhetorical theory from California State University of Long Beach. And we welcome you, Terry, to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Sheldon. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you again. Let me get my bearings here with my cursor. I'm looking for the little icons that let me go next. But first of all, I wanted to thank Cybra for this opportunity to speak with you today. I go a long way back with Cybra, back to probably the early 90s. I know I don't look that old, but I go back to the early 90s with Sheldon and with Harold and everybody else there. They've always been a great partner. They've always provided an excellent solution. And particularly for the past 15 years here at Alien Technology, they've been a great partner to us. And it's my pleasure to take part in their webcast today. So, Sheldon, I'm looking for this thing here, but I just can't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay, now we made it. I had a senior moment. So anyway, my name is Terrell Pruett. You can call me Terry. I'm the Vice President of Marketing, and I also run the Global Reader Program at Alien Technology. Alien is a company that, like everyone else, we're in shelter in place right now, but we're still doing business and we're still out there providing the enablement solutions to our partners. We sell through our partners and we have always been that way and we will continue to be that way. Again, I'm having difficulty here. There we go. So just who are we at Alien? We were not a pioneering manufacturer. We were actually the pioneering manufacturer of passive RFID solutions. We manufactured the first Gen 1 reader and tag. We were the manufacturer of the first Gen 2 reader and tag. And if you're not familiar, Gen 2 is what we're currently using now. And thus our intellectual property leaves a really indelible signature on the entire industry, regardless of manufacturer, both on the reader side, on the tag IC side, and with the inlays. We are the only RFID manufacturer designing all aspects of the technology solution. We design and manufacture ICs, tag inlays, and fixed readers. And we have provided handheld solutions for about the last 10 years as well. We remain among the market share leaders across the full horizon of the products that we provide. And as I said before, we feel like we have the best channel in RFID. We feel like the solution providers that we're partnered with are absolutely at point of their customers' needs with forward-looking solutions in all aspects of RFID data collection. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. There we go. So, where are we today in RFID? Now, these figures here are in terms of the tag sales. We measure the market in terms of how many tags are being consumed during each particular year. And as you can see, the growth rate has been steady and strong. And prior to COVID-19, we were projected to do almost 19 billion units in the industry in 2020. That obviously will be suppressed now, not only in retail, but also in industries such as airlines and transportation, access control, that type of thing. Those things are being suppressed by COVID-19, but we believe that the true market, once we're out of this, is right around that 18 or 19 billion tag mark. And as you can see, most of the tags in the world are consumed in retail apparel. That is, those tags enable item marking for the purposes of cycle count inventory within the store. This has become best of breed. This is the way that major retailers are doing inventory today, and they are creating immense cost savings and more importantly, immense increases in the accuracy of the inventory, taking it from 58, 59, 60% inventory accuracy way up above 95% to as high as 99%. So this is the value of passive RFID. Now, by the way, that's wonderful animation there. I wish I could say I did it, but I had somebody do that for me. So this basically gives you the elements and the continuum of both computing and data collection. Starting back in the 70s with the development of the microprocessor, which enabled the processing of data into useful information very inexpensively. In point of fact, it was the microprocessor and personal computing which led to the utility of barcoding. These particular developments in terms of the ability to process massive amounts of data led to the universal use of barcoding. And in turn, that enabled the development of warehouse management and supply chain execution systems. Companies like American Turnkey, companies like McHugh-Freeman, which is now Red Prairie, which is now SDA, JDA, sorry. Companies like Manhattan Associates. These were the companies that really expanded the barcode to being a real supply chain tool to provide some element of inventory visibility on shipping and receiving of cartons. And then as we grew into data networking, these systems became even more powerful and enterprise-wide. It allowed you to transfer information about whatever object you marked to those that need to know wherever they were in your enterprise. And then the coming of wireless allowed you to do data collection right out on the edge. The growth of the handheld barcode scanner, the ability to collect data as it was happening via barcode. And finally, the internet, which allowed you to exchange data about objects to and from all sorts of distributed data resources globally. And then finally, you have passive RFID that allows you to identify every object perpetually without human intervention and use the power of today's computing technology to run data analytics and to truly get to the heart of how your enterprise runs minute by minute. So, okay, I'm having a delay here. Pardon me. There we go. So we talk about smart objects and dumb objects. Probably a better way to put that. But the Internet of Everything, the universal marking and the perpetual collection of data from all of those objects total and perpetual data collection isn't complete unless you include both electronic goods and non-electronic objects, smart and dumb objects, if you will. But there are problems there. How do you identify these objects and really catalog them within your data system? How do you connect dumb objects, non-connected objects, to the internet? How do you automatically model real-world dumb objects? How do you keep this accurate in real time and perpetually? And what happens when you turn off your smart device? Well, we're going to be discussing these things because this is where passive RFID takes its role. So the RFID landscape today, retail, manufacturing, supply chain, and logistics. There are certain use cases in manufacturing scenarios and logistics scenarios where RFID has maximum utility. In retail, it's proven that item marking in store for cycle count inventory is maximized utility at this point for keeping inventory accuracy up. Now, we're primarily a fixed reader company when it comes to hardware. So it kind of pains me to say that that's still a handheld application. But the bottom line is that fixed reader infrastructure for in-store still has not reached the point of affordability that would allow for large interconnected infrastructures of fixed readers within a store, within an individual store environment, collecting data perpetually. And so collecting inventory data within a store, particularly a larger store, is still largely a matter of handheld reading. You also have inventory tracking in the warehouse, DC, and fulfillment center. Now that is largely a fixed reader infrastructure that we have there. Manufacturing. In supply chain for manufacturing, where you have automotive suppliers shipping parts to manufacturers or to major assembly suppliers, you have dock door ingress and egress, what's coming in, what's going out. You have sector tracking, choke points set up within the facility to let you know where particular parts or minor subassemblies are in the process. In the manufacturing process, you have work in process tracking. You have Kanban and other types of parts tracking. You have returnable items, which was actually the initial major application in manufacturing was for returnable item. Cases, pallets, totes. These were things that manufacturers had difficulty tracking. They didn't know how many of them they had, and they didn't know where they were. And so in the manufacturing process, we see these main applications that are well used with passive RFID today. And in supply chain logistics, we again have dock door and we again have sector tracking, but you also have inventory control within that, sometimes with a handheld, sometimes with fixed infrastructure. This is the landscape today. This was the landscape coming into COVID-19. After COVID-19, well, supply chain visibility, efficiency, and inventory is even going to become more critical. We've already had partners tell us that they've surveyed their manufacturing customers, their retail customers, and they all say the same thing, that they're at the top of the list in terms of technology is going to be that which enables inventory at a far more accurate level. All collected data, whether it's in retail, manufacturing, healthcare, which is obviously critical at this point in time, all collected data has two purposes. There's real-time tracking for daily execution. That is the execution of your critical processes within your enterprise. That real-time tracking data allows you to efficiently move goods through your warehouse, move it through your fulfillment center, move it through your retail store, move it through your manufacturing plant, and get it done on time, just in time. Both of these two purposes are inextricably tied to IoT constructs. and they require perpetual hands-free data collection. Now, when we talk about IoT, it was my good fortune last year, which seems like about 700 years ago, to speak at the IoT convention in Shenzhen, China. And the conversation at that particular convention was really about what is IoT? What element? Is it just a conglomeration of many, many, many different applications? And that seemed to be the answer. IoT is a very indeterminate thing. What it really is a combination of many thousands of algorithms that control processes and allow for visibility from the beginning of the supply chain to the end. That's what IoT is. And in order to do it, you need a data collection backbone that will hands-free and perpetually collect data. Let's see here. There you go. Thank you. I think Sheldon's helping me on this because I see his little cursor there. So after COVID-19, the current environment obviously has accelerated what was already a fast-moving evolution. It's the move from the store floor to the warehouse and fulfillment center, driven by digital ordering, delivery, and pickup. This is only going to be accelerated. And many of the DCs, many of the logistics centers out there are unprepared to reach that 95 to 99% inventory accuracy that you absolutely have to have in order to execute at the expectation of your customers. As Macy's and Target and Walmart and the rest all enter into direct competition with Amazon, this becomes very, very critical. The omnichannel, which we've talked about for years, has moved from a business opportunity into a point of criticality, a necessity. Passive RFID will be a primary data collection backbone for IoT and the modern supply chain. Think about it. Barcoding for mass perpetual data collection isn't sufficient. In most cases, it requires human intervention, which brings in the factor of human error. It's also slow, okay? You look at active RFID and vision technology. They're very expensive. I won't say too expensive because obviously those systems are installed. It's great for location tracking. One of the common questions that we get at Alien is, well, you know, I want to track things in my warehouse or my manufacturing center within a tolerance of 5 feet. Well, that's not us. That's active RFID, or that's vision technology. Virtual GPS. That is not passive RFID. I mean, you could do passive RFID and really tighten those tolerances, but it would cost so much more. We say that it would cost millions of dollars and millions of lives. It's essentially not a workable solution for that type of tight tolerance location tracking. However, passive RFID is highly accurate for inventory monitoring and tracking of items, not location, but counting. And active RFID and particularly vision are less than accurate for true best of breed inventory tracking. We've had many customers that became enamored of vision tracking, maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And they put a stop to their passive RFID projects in their manufacturing centers, their logistics centers, because they wanted to do a deep dive into vision. And then they found out that vision works best when combined with other technologies. And now we see them coming back to us saying, what can passive RFID do for us to solve this problem? They're back to square one. There is a place for these other technologies. It is a very vital and growing place. But we feel that Passive RFID is best of breed for tracking goods and understanding your inventory counts in a warehouse or in any other facility. Passive RFID combines utility and economy in perpetual data collection that's hands-free. So, the question, are you ready? And just remember, passive RFID is a mature, proven technology with a proven ROI and proven benefits. 15 to 20 billion tags are annually consumed, and that's growing in normal times at 15 to 20% per year. Enterprises will leverage this infrastructure to create not only digitally based retail commerce, but also digital manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, digital and highly accurate. RFID enables the identification of dumb or disconnected objects, non-electronic objects, very low-cost objects. Smart electronic devices, when in the off mode, every single mobile phone and smartphone and tablet manufacturer in the world utilizes passive RFID to some extent in their manufacturing and logistics process. Passive RFID is the data collection backbone that can help enable enterprise recovery. And this is a phrase that my dad used to use, in the fullness of time. We don't know when we're going to come out of our current situation, but we do know that when we do come out, that the technology that my company puts forward and also that our competitors put forward is going to be a key element in bringing everybody back to a state of normalcy, whatever normalcy may indeed be. So let's hope that time comes soon. Stay healthy and stay safe. And if you have any questions, please contact Cyber. They'll be glad to get to me. Thank you very much. And I guess, do I have time for questions at this point?
100%. We actually have plenty of time for questions, Terry. And
well, I didn't gab enough. I should have put more stuff in there.
You absolutely could have. We're doing great on time. One of the questions that I have is, due to the COVID-19, how has that affected Alien's supply chain? Has that affected your product marketing and delivery at all, or in what ways?
Oh, yes, it has. And I think you see this across our industry. Not across. I'm talking like a 10-year-old. But across our industry, you know, it's obvious that many of the ICs, many of the inlays are manufactured within China. That was the initial disruption in the supply chain. And then it's almost like when you throw a rock into the middle of a lake, there are ripples that come off from that. And that affects even our supply chain in North America. You know, we manufacture our main fixed reader, the F800, in Mexico, and COVID-19 has now affected that supply chain. And so we have had to manage extended delivery times. We've had to manage these things, and luckily our partners are extremely loyal to us, and luckily we're a service-oriented company. And so we're working with them to help serve their customers as best we can. And we do have a plan and a roadmap to lay out to getting back to normal delivery cycles as we come out of this. But right now it is a challenge, and I think it's a challenge for everybody in auto ID, not just RFID. It's a challenge for everyone who has an extended supply chain component availability. When you think of something like a handheld reader or a fixed reader, heck, when you even think about a tag has an IC, it has an antenna structure, it has a paper or a synthetic faceplate. You know, you have all of these things that are in the supply chain, and all of them are in the point of disruption right now. And you know, an RFID reader, same thing, individual components, etc. Now, we tried to design our readers to be simple. The F800 still, after 4 years, is at the very cutting edge of technology. fixed readers, but still there are multiple components within the F800 that need to be supplied from various suppliers. So, you know, yes, there's disruption. Yes, there are extended lead times, but we're trying to deal with it. And we're trying to deal with doing our builds in an intelligent way and doing that as best we can.
One of the things that you talked about, which I thought was significantly a real key point, I just want to get your take on it again, and that is that this autonomous, hands-free, are, you know, basically it's a perfect technology actually for a pandemic because you don't want to handle things.
Right. That's exactly right. I thought about that point, but I really believe the reason I didn't make that point earlier was because I really believe that fixed reading is the wave of the future, not handheld reading. And I think that's one of the key reasons. And, you know, when you think about fixed reading, just think about something simple like a dock door or a choke point within a facility. You have a case, you have 500 bottles of liquid Tide on a pallet coming through a choke point, going from point A to point B at 8 miles an hour. Well, if you stop to use any other technology, even handheld RFID on that, this is a disruption in product flow, okay? If you're coming through a dock door, it's a disruption in product flow. And you're bringing in the specter of human intervention, where tags can be missed, mistakes can be made in the scanning. With regard to passive RFID, all of that is read automatically and automatically in the system, including exception tracking. So this is the key element, as you made the point. This is the key element, I believe, of the future of RFID. And I'm not just saying that because we're primarily a fixed reader company. We do handhelds as well. But I really believe that the future, for a variety of reasons, is in fixed tracking. And it really would be that way at store level or in the hospital as well if the hardware infrastructure was more affordable than it is right now. But right now it still costs too much for ReadPoint to really outfit a complete Walmart or a complete Target with fixed infrastructure. You can do choke pointing, but in terms of perpetual hands-free inventory of everything when it's on a shelf all the time, it's still a little bit expensive. So the choke pointing is the way to go. Fixed RFID infrastructure to that point is the way to go.
Do you see any other ways which technologies work together? In other words, what's a good twin, or not even a twin, really complementary technology for passive?
We work really well with both active RFID and vision. If somebody wants not only, there are many critical places where they have very costly things where they need to know exactly where they are in the warehouse at any particular time, where sector tracking isn't good enough. And so we run many systems in combination with active RFID. We run many systems in partnership and in combination with vision technology. With those technologies being used for physical location and virtual GPS, and with our TLS as well, and our technology being used for the tracking as sort of like a super barcoding on steroids, okay? And we also, in things like people tracking and access control, work in conjunction with NFC very well. Because people need, for certain areas, they need touch, or they need a very close reading, and in other ways, when they're coming through like a big entry gate with 35 or 40 other people, they need to be able to have that ingress happen immediately, and that's passive. So we work in combination with NFC, vision, and active RFID, and barcode. There are people that are combining barcoding system. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of RFID tags that are now going through retail and manufacturing also have a barcode on them, because people need a backup. People need a way of identifying things at a point. And barcoding is still a big and very important part of the supply chain. You know, you and I are old barcoding people, right? And we go back, I go back to the dawn of time when we were riding our horse to the office, you know.
Right.
Back in Virginia City with Hans Cartwright, and we started barcoding. So, so you know, we're we work together with all of those technologies very well.
For those of the readers who have let's say they're just starting out, based on your experience, what's the best way for them to start out with RFID?
Well, first of all, they have to know what their problem is, what they're trying to solve or where they're trying to go. They have to know their destination. If they don't know their destination, then it's just a science project. They're proving that they can read tags in their environments. But for us, you have to know what you're trying to accomplish. Once you know what you're trying to accomplish, you don't have to be an expert in RFID. What you need to do is call in experience for a site survey. You need to call in a CYBRA, okay? And basically say, here's what I'm looking to do. I have a hunch that RFID can be the solution or a part of the solution for me, but I need you to evaluate how I would get it done, because I have to have some handle on what this is going to cost. I have to have some handle on how this fits into our daily processes right now, and what type of, is the change going to be too revolutionary for me, or is it something that can be relatively seamless that will provide me with quick ROI and seamless benefit? So the first step, I think, is to contact an experienced solution provider like Cyber and get that happening. And you know, that's what I would do.
Let me see if we've got some other questions here. Oh, here we go. Do you see a passive tag sensing, such as temperature or shock, taking off anytime in the near future?
We've seen temperature tracking right now. I have to reemphasize here that Alien only makes the inlay. So we don't make special tags like temperature sensing tags or, you know, on metal tags and plastic enclosures and things like that. Our partners do that. But we're doing some temperature sensing using our tags now with various manufacturers who take and convert our tags into that type of scenario. Is it high volume at this point? No. But look at what's happening in the grocery industry right now. Okay? Look at what's happening with the supply chain in the grocery industry. You know, now we've dealt with companies like Kimberly-Clark and the others that are making paper products where you see those supply chain shortages. Those folks have been there. But think about meat, think about produce, think about the things in the cold chain. I think that could be an area that will become extremely important after COVID-19, as people now are seeing how well their supply chain actually works or doesn't work. Okay, so yes, so the answer to the question is that yes, there are temperature sensing combination tags with passive RFID that are available now from a variety of sources. And also, what was the other type that he was asking about?
Shock sensing.
Shock tags, yeah, that's really a matter of the structure of the enclosure. So we see that all the time. You know, laundry tags, shock is a big issue with that. And we have seen those tags, they look a little bit like an eraser. If you remember you're a kid in school, you have like a rubber flexible eraser that's a lot thinner than that, but it fits within the collar of the shirt or somewhere else, and it goes through 300 washings, you know, something of that name, or 30 washings at 350 degrees, you know, and with the shock going through the dryer. But those tags are also manufactured now and also by various sources. It's not a high volume business, but it's available today.
Very good. Thank you. One last question for you. What's your take on blockchain and RFID?
Well, it's the same. I actually had a screen on blockchain that I didn't include. You know, with blockchain, you're talking about the sharing of data and distributed data. That falls right along with RFID in combination with digital tracking, in combination with everything else that's an element of IoT. You know, and so when you're talking about the movement that we saw over the last 3 years in automotive, in the automotive supply chain, that's all about both IoT and blockchain and the ability to contribute data at various points with complete security. That is ideal for RFID. The key element there is having the software platform that can accommodate that and accommodate that efficiently, you know, which is a harder thing than you would think. Us being not a software provider, you know, we just wait for you guys to order from us. We say, here, we're going to do that. Yeah. No, but we feel like, you know, obviously IoT and blockchain go hand in hand. And we feel as well that the mass data collection capability of passive RFID is a massive factor in IoT and blockchain globally.
Thank you. Very good, Terry.
Did I answer that one all right?
Yeah, you stay safe.
All right, I'm going to try. Thank you very much for the opportunity.